What's going on, guys? Right, down here with another quick video. I wanted to go over the gameplay loop strategy that I have settled on, which involves both Shore and Crimson Temple. And I set it up in a two-phase system where on one hand I'm doing most of my juiced stuff, and then on the other hand I'm farming up materials and making it so that I'm more or less self-sufficient on delirium orbs and map sustain, and limiting my need to trade on the website for other materials. And then I also want to talk briefly about an interaction that I witnessed on Twitch and sort of some thoughts that I have on approaching a farming strategy and watching content on YouTube and then trying to apply that stuff in your gameplay. So if all that interests you, hit that like and subscribe button and stick around. So I've been referring to this as my clean crimson dirty shore strategy, and the reason for that is when I'm running the Crimson Temple maps, I care about all the details. I want the exact farm that is the most fun for me. I want the maps to be the way that I enjoy them the most. And then the shore maps we're using purely for the purpose of abusing them, to just get what we want as quickly as we can and then just move on. And the reason for that has to do with the discoveries that were made at the beginning of the league about how map sustain works. And as I tried different things, it made perfect sense to me that with the current state of the game, that you want more than one map favorited, preferably ones that are adjacent to each other. And that has allowed me to not need to buy maps, not need to worry about how many I have. In fact, I over-sustained so much that I was able to develop this gameplay loop that is, for me, very rewarding. So, right now, I am in the very end of my section of the Crimson Temple phase. And so, the way that we do this is, we roll up our maps normally like I would in any other scenario. I've got a video on the channel about how I do that in bulk. And once we roll them, and we're going to use all the delirium orbs that we have, and we're just going to put 20% on each map. And we're going to pull out any that have Beyond on them. And those will do for, I tend to do triple Beyond type stuff as a special occasion farm. It's not something I like to do all the time. So most of the time what we're doing is just rolling the maps up regular, throw a Delirium Orb on them, pop one in the device. We're going to use an Elder Scarab, Harbinger, Divination, and Gilded Breach. Blue Influence, Domination on the map device, and we're going to come over here, and I already have my sextants set up, so I'm just going to pop these on. So we're doing Additional Breach, Hunted Traders, and Harbinger, and then we're just going to roll the last sextant until we get something that is desirable. There we go. Anything that adds monsters is good. And then we're just going to blast these maps as is. And I have found that nets me the currency that I need. It's enjoyable. It's enough juice that it feels fun, feels interesting. It's not so much that your PC's chugging out on every pack, though at this level of juice you can certainly get, with the breaches overlapping with other mechanics and stuff, you can get some pretty crazy screenfuls of mobs. So, what do we do when we run out of maps? That's when we switch over. I'll show you my map tab here. Actually, before we do that, let's look at the Atlas tree for this setup, because we're going to make a few small changes when we switch over to Shore. So here we're doing sort of my normal deal where we come up through shrines and grab these Harbinger ones. We're blocking everything except Breach. And we are still taking Valley of Darkness, and we're coming up and taking all the Harbinger, Influence here. Come through the Breach. Grab your shrines and Harbinger in here. Up here, we're just taking these for map drops, sextants. Over here, we're taking Delirium and Beyond. And then we're taking Wrath of the Cosmos. Now, when we switch to Shore, we're going to pop some points out of here. And we're going to put them down here. And then we're going to even if we have to, we'll take the beyond points out, and we'll run up here and grab the delirium chance. And then we're going to unblock the delirium mirror. And then we're going to take stream of consciousness. And what that allows us to do is, when we're running the shore maps, we're completely separated from all the investment that we're doing into our juicing maps. We're not burning our scarabs. We're not burning deli orbs. You don't even have to do sextants for the shore stage. And so, looking at my map tab here, if we look at Crimson Temple, since I mind you, I just finished running 20 or 30 delirium orbed Crimson Temple maps, and you can see I've already got half a tab full. And that is when we're not getting that many, because I'm not trying to get map drops particularly, and you're less likely to get the map that you're actually in as a drop. So if we look at shore, you can see we've got quite a few of these too. And then when we run shore, since we're going to burn them so fast, and I'm talking, I'll open these, and if there's not a delirium mirror, I'll just walk back out of the portal and open the next map. And I don't quality these, I don't do anything. I am absolutely wasting these maps. And the result is, when I run a set of, half of an inventory here, or a full inventory, I will get almost a 1-to-1 return on shore maps, and then I will also get like a 1-to-2 return on Crimson Temple maps. And if we look at my atlas here, the way that I'm doing that is setting it up so that all of my slots are Crimson Temple, except for these two. And this is working for me. It ends up being, I think, about 60-40 in terms of the amount of time. 60% of my time I'm in the maps I really want to be playing, with the juice, all of that stuff. The Mage Blood cards can drop. The 7 Years Bad Luck can drop. Good times had all around. And then shore is a map that I actually prefer in the layout sense, but it doesn't have the cards we want, and there are some other issues that make, I think, Crimson Temple far, far more desirable this league. But shore is still a fun map to run, and so for the purpose of popping it open and really quickly taking out the stuff that we want, I think it works great. And if you open the map and there's no mirror, you can still just run straight down to the boss, because it's right at the bottom of the map, and you can pretty quickly fill up your influence bar here. And I find that it just doesn't take me very long to go through all these maps, and I end up with 15 or 20 delirium orbs, and like I said, a bunch of both Crimson Temple and shore maps, and then I just do the loop over and over. I run my juice with this atlas setup, and then I make the few changes that I told you about, and then I run all my shore maps, and then I start over. I move back to the beginning. So I hope that was clear, at least to some degree. I had a few people ask about map sustain, and I thought that it was a little bit late in the league for that type of problem to still be creeping around, and so I wanted to make sure I had some kind of, an additional strategy that I know is yielding me tons of maps. For example, here is another tab where I've just got extra Crimson Temple maps that I didn't have anything to do with at the moment where I was rolling them. I assume probably I started rolling them up and then filled this tab, and so just kind of stopped. And so that should set you up doing the back and forth between Crimson Temple and shore. That's been working really well for me. Give it a shot. Let me know how it works for you. Let me know if you've got a different strategy that works better, or if I forgot something or whatever. And then just quickly here before I go, I want to talk about an interaction that I was a part of on Twitch that I thought was really interesting. Because obviously one of the things that happens all the time is, people pop in a chat and ask, well, how do I, I want to do this. How do I get there? Is essentially the format. In this case, it was a person asking, I've been trying to farm an omniscience for the whole league, just can't get my hands on it. And a bunch of us offered different types of things that they could do to achieve that, because for a lot of us in that chat, a 50x purchase is not something that we really spend a lot of time worrying about. That's an amount of currency that is pretty easily acquirable. And so we offered the strategies, and the person's response I thought was not super common, but it's common enough. I see it frequently enough that I just kind of wanted to, bullshit with you guys about it for a minute. To every person's advice, he had what seemed to be like a prepared quip in response. So, one guy said, you could farm Sims and probably get that done in a few days. I'm not a sim farmer. I don't know exactly how profitable that can be, but I know they're really good if you commit. They're just boring and it takes a while. And his response was, well, I can only get to wave 22, so that's worthless. It's like, well, I don't know. For a long time, there was only 20 waves, and they were pretty fucking profitable back then. So, I don't know. Could you just put your head down and even at wave 22 get your Omni instead of sitting in your hideout bitching about not having currency? I don't know. Another guy was talking about a map strategy involving, I think, Blight and Expedition, and he was like, well, I don't like any of that stuff, so I'm not doing that. And while that's fair, that's sort of like the mantra of my channel here, is like I play content for fun. But again, you're clearly not having the fun that you want to have, because your only goal is to have this one item and you can't get there. And so maybe it is time to start thinking about doing the thing you don't want to do as much, just for a little bit, to get the item, so then you can return to what you're doing. I offered the strategy of set up your Harbinger, run Crimson Temple map, sell your Incandescent or Screaming Invitations, Harbinger Scarabs if you got them, Stream of Consciousness if you don't, so on and so forth. And his response to that was, well, that would take me 1,200 maps, Keck W. And it's like, well, no, it's not going to take you 1,200 maps. Because if you do what I told you, you're going to get an Apothecary drop, or a couple 7 years bad luck drop. You're going to get the Raw Exalt drop here and there. Harbingers are going to drop you Annulment Orbs. They're going to drop you Exalted Shards. They're going to drop you Ancient Shards. You're going to sell all that stuff. You're going to get lots of Divine Orbs on the ground. You're going to get lots of corrupted 6-link items that sell for Divines. You're going to turn those into X. You're not going to take 1,200 maps to make an Omni. But it became clear to me that what this person was going through was more a problem of not being willing to commit to a strategy. And I don't know if this has always been the case in Path of Exile, but it is now, as far as I can tell. I get punished the most when I half-ass shit. When I commit to a strategy and I just roll through it, I find something that is a good mixture of efficiency and fun. You have to stick with it. You have to actually do the strategy. Otherwise, you're not going to get the rewards. And it's also not as simple as, well, if this person is doing, X, Y, and Z, I should be able to do 75% of what they're doing and still get, most of the rewards. That's not always the case either. And so my strategy is, if I'm looking for information about how to acquire something that I'm having trouble acquiring, or for a new strategy, the way that I approach that is I tend to go and ask a few people, and then I allow myself to fail. I allow myself to commit hard on a strategy that's been offered to me, particularly if I know that the person has used this strategy, more than once to some degree of success. And I just let it happen. And that has made a huge difference for me in the game. And I also, back in the day, used to go and watch a YouTube video where somebody was saying farm this way, and then I would say, well, okay, I'll try it, but I'm not going to do this part or that part or whatever, because I don't know, because I knew better, or because I felt like they were making some error or something. I don't know. But the end result was I never had the currency that I wanted. As soon as I started to change my mentality and I started just listening to the information that was being given to me and implementing it fully and immediately in my strategy, I started to see the currency come in. Things like headhunters and omnis and whatever else started to not be a problem. I went from being able to make one shitty character every league to being able to make as many good characters as I want. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Just wanted to, it's been on my mind a little bit, so I figured I'd bullshit with you guys about it for a minute. Otherwise, I'm going to be back really soon with another video about this tornado shot character, just trying to tie up a few loose ends with it. The guide I was using was from 3.17, and I feel like it's a little bit too squishy for me to confidently present it to you guys right yet, and so I have a change or two that I want to make before then, but I'm hoping to have that video still done this week. And so, yeah, I will see you guys then. If you're enjoying the content, please do hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. I appreciate you.